I heard a cat meow earlier. Was that a cat or one of you?
Meow.
Oh.
That was a Sheikh Amr.
Oh, that's a cat.
There's fur flying in the air.
Sim has 2 cats. Or one
No,
cat.
I have 1 cat. Tanzim, who's making sounds on your end? Just 5 seconds, bro.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks. I'm Mahin and I'm joined by my co-hosts Sheikh Amr Saeed and Sim. And on today's show, we have the brothers from Boys in the Cave from down under in Australia. I was expecting to see a kangaroo and a koala bear on the other side, but actually sees 2 brown guys. So welcome, Tanzim and Josh.
From what we're seeing as well.
Y'all were expecting like some cowboys and Indians?
We're expecting like a desert in the background or something, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like Texas like movies and stuff, but it's still decent compromise, alhamdulillah.
No, I was expecting like a mixed congregation, like with you guys.
Male and female mix. We do that. After
Yeah.
After the
as in,
show,
you know, like all the stuff, like the wacky stuff you see coming out of America. As in, we just expected that.
Some liberal Muslims praying, you know, male, female, side by side. You know how it is.
It's all true.
No, it is. No, we don't know how it is.
It's actually like it is all true.
It is all true, and we do engage in it, but not in public.
So like,
I thought you guys picked yourself from it. What do you mean you engage?
You're not supposed to flaunt your sins publicly. I don't know if you know about this rule in the religion.
but real quick, since you mentioned it, I think you're alluding to the recent like tweet about ill Muslims. Hey, are you okay if we call out ill Muslims on the show, or are you like trying to like keep them happy?
That's like a fair game.
Fair ill Muslims.
I saw
Everyone's kicking on them. Kick them while they're down.
So I've actually been to one of their events.
How was it?
Astaghfirullah.
So okay, so
what's wrong with you, Yahi?
This is the year they launched. So you guys saw the video right on Twitter, like did an interview about like, you know, and people like just. So people like, I think this Twitter thing was like the first time a lot of people found out about who they were. I know some people, I know Kamran Riaz gave an entire clip about them like 2 years ago, exposing their like fahisha. But, I actually, went to one of their first events in Chicago. Maybe their very first event. And I thought, so this is 2014, I remember that day, because I picked up the Legend Blue 11s, waited 5 hours in line for them and then went, I was supposed to do something with my wife. And I ditched her to go to the Ill Muslims event. And because a friend of mine...
Were you going there to pick up women?
No, a friend of mine...
Then what the heck are you going there for?
A friend of mine, there was a youth conference the next day that I was organizing. And so my friend was like, yo, we can go to this Ill Muslims event and like market our conference. To this thing. So we get up there.
You go to the club to do dawah.
It was it was an art gallery. It was kind of tame. There was definitely free mixing and all that stuff going on, which... I'm probably soft on, to be honest, out of the 3 of us in this group.
Too, to be honest.
You know,
You're soft on a lot of things, brother.
Anyways, and then
we'll save it for another podcast.
But there were s'mores. There were s'mores there. A lot of people I know that went there.
You guys know what s'mores are?
Do you guys know what s'mores are?
It's like marshmallows.
Yeah, marshmallows
Melted marshmallows
with Hershey's
British accent.
chocolate.
No, not chocolate. It's chocolate.
Anyways. But like, so there were s'mores there, and then like, you know, there wasn't like dance off or nothing. It was like, there was music played, there was a DJ there, but it was like a social kind of, it sounds like an after work mixer. You ever seen one of those things?
Yeah. I'm single, ready to mingle.
Right, but so it wasn't, I feel like it got crazier after. Then I saw videos of like at ISNA when the lights were out and like chicks were grinding on each other.
Whoa, they're grinding each other?
And dudes.
Ooh.
Right?
Temperatures just got hot in here.
You know,
tell us more, my brother.
So like, Mort and I actually do want to go to an Ill Muslims event again, maybe like vlog it and see like.
What were we
why would
about?
Why would you vlog it? What would you do? Like call people out?
No, just investigative. Ask people why are they here?
When we were young, there was a ISNA. I don't know if you know about the ISNA convention down there, but ISNA is like the largest convention in North America.
Yeah, we know about it.
So there'd be like a big like. What's it called? Hotel ISNA.
Club ISNA.
Club ISNA, right?
It's a lobby, basically.
So a lot of these guys would be like mixing with girls and stuff, and some of my hardcore friends, alhamdulillah, not me, but these guys would go straight up, and right in the middle of it, they would start, you know, calling them out on their behavior.
Fear Allah, fear the grave, and all that good stuff.
Oh man, how did that go down? As in, did they take it well? Or did they change their behavior?
I think the religious guy got escorted out by the security people. They were still allowed to mingle. Like, get this guy out of here.
Just about the whole
He's out of style.
ill Muslims thing generally. I've known about it for several years as well. I've just stalked them down through their Facebook pages and all their photos. It's pretty much, the cool photos you take at the club with girls and stuff, but like a Muslim version.
Right.
As in, that's what I saw it as. I was really attracted to it.
Attracted
my
to the
early
women?
days. I was like, wow, they're so cool. Like, I wish I could be
more,
like
Joshua.
that instead of in the MSA. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the MSA is not nearly as cool. As in, that was my vibe at the beginning. But
what was the thing, Mahid,
sort of
you were saying that somebody wanted to pray there and they told him to go pray in the alley or something?
So I was on a Twitter conversation. Somebody was talking about one of their events. They went there and there was no, Maghrib time had come in and there was no allocated prayer space. And they had asked someone for a place to pray and they sent them outside to the back alley to go pray. They didn't even have, and when I went, this was December of 2014, so it was at night, it started at 8 p.m. So it was Maghrib and Isha had already come in, so I don't think it was a need at the time for anyone to pray. But every event of theirs is probably different. I'd be curious in going back. A lot of people say that, there's people who are Muslims who are going to the club where there is booze and where people are smashing after. So maybe this is a good medium to bring them back.
Like a transition medium, they sort of get closer to Muslims.
I have a friend. So I have a friend who used to spend most of his time in Latina clubs. Back in the day, and then he transitioned to ill Muslims, and then he only spent a year going to ill Muslims events, and then he now he's pretty much trying walking around with black turbans all over the place. So
really?
Yeah,
black turbans.
Really
yeah. I told him I asked him
its purpose.
Yeah, is the black turban a thing of the Shia though?
No, black turbans is part of the revivers. The people from the east. They're supposed to be wearing. Oh no, that's black flags. Sorry, wrong podcast.
Anyways, man. So what's up? What's happening, boys in the cave? What's happening with you guys, man? Enough of
So I think we had the boys in the cave. By the way, that the acronym is BITC. Do not add Hira at the end of it. It's just boys in the cave, or else the acronym will be something else. Now these brothers are doing some amazing work from Australia. And we decided to incorporate them. We talked to them. Oh, it's not just we decided. I mean, they had a say in this as well. But we talked about bringing them on board into the Mad Mamluks family, and they were really excited. And Tanzim, why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about how y'all started up podcasting, and help the listeners understand a little bit about what your podcast is all about.
Yeah, for sure. So, name's Tanzim. Having goosebumps though, being on the Mad Mamluks, because we obviously looked up to you guys, when you guys started out a few years back. And our experiences in Sydney are a bit different to, what you guys might be facing. You guys probably, I don't know, girls and guys side by side praying. No, I'm kidding. But, we have our own kind of struggles in the Sydney scene. And I guess in that sense, that's why we wanted to start out the podcast as well, kind of honing on our community. But I guess the nature of how the world works, more globalized, everyone's interconnected from one country to another. Even if you work on your community, you'll go global. So alhamdulillah, in that sense, because our efforts were, in the community, people were hearing about us overseas. But for us starting out in particular, I think our struggles were that obviously going through the uni scene, high school, for me, particularly in high school, I wasn't too practicing. I was a pretty rebellious child as well. The deen was just more so you go to the mosque, go Jummah khutbahs and stuff, go back home and, just kind of leave Islam at the masjid. But alhamdulillah, connecting with people, stuff happen in your life. We can probably go into that later. You get closer to deen, and alhamdulillah, even just, I guess one of those processes was, listening to you guys, to listening to Mohammed Gilan, for example, to many various, internet personalities. And that really kind of inspired us to think that, oh wow, we have a community here. We have in Sydney, there's a big Muslim community, very big. And there's even it was funny the other day, I don't know, have you guys heard of Lauren Southern?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, so she's like some bigot, anti-Islamic person, and she's like, I think she's based in like UK or Canada or something. So she's actually in Australia now, and she's going to all these like Muslim-dominated areas, suburbs,
yeah,
and she's just trying to provoke people, right?
Oh,
at the same time,
restaurants and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and she's just hitting up the streets, and stuff like that, and that shows how big of a population there is to cover in regards to the Sydney scene. And we felt like there were things that weren't being addressed in the community, things that I went through that weren't particularly being addressed. Like, for example, I just feel like the Shuyuk, not to belittle them or anything, alhamdulillah, are doing amazing stuff. But, from my experiences, right, personal experiences, they weren't addressing the youth head on in regards to what we were going through. And I feel like since we were going through our own kind of struggles, it was our responsibility to kind of give back and provide a platform for Shuyuk to come in so we can talk about, what people can kind of relate to in regards to youth scene. But obviously, the nature of how the podcast went, we talk about general Muslim issues as well. And that's why we felt that, especially with bouncing off you guys had a podcast for the platform. We're just like, we should do something similar. Bring the local sheikhs on board, have a conversation with them, really flesh out proper conversations, and also get in touch with people overseas. Like we did an episode with, Daniel Hakikachu, Dr. Shadi Al-Masri, have these kind of interesting dialogues about science, about, consciousness, about political issues, and how Muslims are very much in tune, because the perception in the society we're in is that, Muslims are lost, they don't know what they're doing, and, they're just like herd of sheep, I don't know. So that was our kind of vision early on, to really provide a platform to talk, because alhamdulillah, like the people that we've interacted in our life, we feel like, Muslim or non-Muslim and non-practicing Muslims, if we have a platform and they can hear in regards to the ideas and just how we talk about the religion, it's something we might, plant a seed in regards to becoming closer to the deen. But I guess Josh has a kind of different take, I assume. But
how it sort of started out, I guess, was, like it was just a close group of friends for us. We were just having these really good discussions, like amongst ourselves. Like we were like MSA boys going through uni and talking about all these political, social issues. And we thought, why not replicate it on a wider scale so that people in our community can sort of benefit from it on a wider scale. Also because Sydney faces particular problems, as in Australian Muslims face different issues than the ones you face in America, for example. Like your whole, not obsession, but how we're always hearing about the problem with liberal Muslims and how they're like ruining the deen and all that. We don't really face much of that or any of that here, so it's a bit foreign to us. And it seems really novel. We're just like, whoa, we can't imagine these people actually exist with women leading prayer or like.
But your community is small too, isn't it? The Australian Muslims. How many Muslims are in Australia?
I think over 500,000. Like
yeah, that's pretty small. That's like Chicago. Not even Chicago. That's
500,000 in all of Australia.
Yeah.
Does that include kangaroos?
It's probably a lot more than that. That was a stat from a while ago. I think it'd be closer to 700, 800,000 possibly. But the Sydney community is pretty vibrant and big because a lot of Muslims are in Sydney. Like most of our Muslims are from Arab backgrounds, and then Desi, and then the rest.
Well, yeah, and again, when I say that, that's a small number. Australia is a very large continent, but a lot of people have the misconception that the entire continent is populated. It's really just a small fraction of the entire continent.
Yeah, it's really just Sydney and Melbourne, and like the Sydney and Melbourne, we're pretty much global on the same level as major American cities, as in we like consume all the same media content as you guys. So we're on top of all the discussions that are happening in the US.
How much 24 million people in population. Wow.
Yeah, how much of Australia is even inhabitable?
It's where the coastlines are, where like closer to the beaches and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what pretty much inhabited. Like the kind of central part of Australia is barely inhabited. You've got like Perth, so Western Australia. So you got New South Wales where we're situated, and the Sydney area where most people live, and even in Queensland. So it's very specific areas where there's a large group of people.
Our population density is very low. Like a lot more people could live here, but then there's the whole political issues surrounding like immigration but people don't want to let new people in.
It's like Canada, basically, right? 30 million in Canada.
Is there anyone even monitoring the middle of Australia? I wonder, like, what's going on there. Is there like a big hurricane happening, like on Jupiter?
It's desert, quite a bit of desert.
There's no like speed limit, like there's roads, right? But there's no speed limits in the middle parts of Australia because like no one travels there, so it doesn't matter how fast you go.
It's like rural towns. It's more like, I don't know, like the Midlands or something.
So it's a perfect place to establish the caliphate.
Yeah, literally. That's the plan. Wow. That's the plan of Boys in the Cave.
That's the plan.
Boys in the Cave, this is probably the last day we're going to see you guys.
I've heard of that.
It was nice knowing you guys, mashallah. May Allah give us all shahada.
They're in Australia. They can say whatever they want, do whatever they want.
So as far as, like, we found, we started podcasting mainly because we found most religious people kind of lame, in the sense that, they were just boring.
Totally, dude. Same here.
And I found, like, most Muslim entertainment is really just has the framework of adab, and you can't say a lot of different things that are really on your mind. And are you guys trying to take on that approach? Or are you guys trying to kind of break out of that shell of, everything has to
definitely.
be...
One thing I really appreciate about you guys in particular is that you're so honest to talk about your individual sort of vices, not vices per se, but how you just don't like, you're just like normal people. You're not like treading the line with everything. Like sometimes people just act out and speak out, and you guys just do that. Especially Brother Mahin.
Yeah. Look, we're when we reveal one of our vices, something that we're not proud to mention, but we'll do it for a specific purpose.
Exactly.
To help people out.
Like
it's not like we're spreading fahisha in the world, and we want to let people know that, hey, we're so cool and we do this and that. It's not that. It's like, we made this mistake in the past, and we want to help you guys not make that mistake.
Don't fall into the same,
So, so what was your jahiliyyah like? Since we're being honest,
see how he just used the flute to
Tanzim, you first.
This is it's like, rather the podcast with Mad Mamluks was kind of awkward. It was more like interrogation.
Fess up. Should we be should we be worried about any little Tanzims running around? I'm asking. We have to make sure. Sometimes when you make it big, all of them show up with open hands, like, hey, take care of me.
No. So, how old are you guys? You guys look pretty young, mashallah.
Yeah, so I'm 21. How old are you, Josh? 23?
I'm 23, yeah. I'm in my final year of university here. We're actually recording at our university right now.
Ooh.
And Tanzim is, what? You've got a few more years left?
Yeah, I'm 21. I've got a few more years left.
Are you guys in a gymnasium? Looks yellow
funny
wall
story.
Back there.
So we literally, before this podcast recording, we couldn't find a space because everything's so, like, my house is like packed out. Josh's house is packed out. Some of our other brothers are like really busy.
Are you guys moving?
So we had to come like 3 hours in advance because it's Sunday here, and all the rooms are like closed. They all lock up the rooms and stuff. So we called like university campus security, being like, "Yo, we've got a big project and we need one of the rooms." So the security folk came in, opened the door for us, and like,
awesome. They were nice enough to let us in. So we have great space right now.
And Josh, if you don't mind me asking, this is totally out of just a weird curiosity of mine. Are you originally or ethnically Bengali?
This is a question I get asked very much by a lot of my peers and just everyone in general. I am ethnically and originally Bengali, and I have no clear reason why. I'm named Josh. I think my dad was just really whitewashed in the 90s. I wasn't even asked
that. Well, go ahead.
Do you prefer to be called Yusuf?
Josh would be a cool name for me to get by in society.
Oh, Josh. I'm sorry. I got Joe and Josh.
I wasn't even going to ask that, but whatever.
Why did you ask that? I don't think that's why he asked you, though. Not for the name, right? Why did you ask?
It doesn't matter.
Joshua, you don't look Bengali.
Oh, I just assumed it was about the name because that's how the question comes. Like, Joshua sounds like a non-Muslim name.
What do you guys have to say for a lot of our listeners who are, not a lot, but there's a few people who say, like, hey, you guys are a bunch of brown guys talking about a whole lot of different subjects that really don't belong in your space. You shouldn't be talking because you're not XYZ ethnicity. What do you think about that? chew on that.
As in the Muslim community?
Yeah, there's some people within
just
the
critics.
within the Muslims within the Muslim community where obviously majority of our listeners are Muslims, and they're going to be saying like, "Hey, Joshua, Tanzim, y'all are brown. Y'all shouldn't be talking about different people's ethnicities and different people's struggles. Y'all are speaking from privilege, brown privilege." What do you think about that?
What do you think about that?
I think the sort of racial landscape in Australia is different. Like, as in brown people, like, as in we're the minorities here, and I don't know, as in
Are there
we
black
don't have
people
that
over
same
there?
sort of issue. Are you talking about just like black culture generally, sort of
No,
thing?
are
Like
there
how
African
we can't
people?
talk about
You're
it?
talking about African descent. Pardon the American ignorance.
Like we try to talk because alhamdulillah, like we do have like a small team here, so we've got a big diverse group of nationalities and stuff, and we have like a big we've got friends in the head of the MSAs and connected with Shuk and stuff. So if we're going to talk about something to do with a different kind of ethnicity, we do consult before the
definitely.
episode. And we make sure it's all clear and stuff. And, we're not just speaking from whatever we perceive of, certain backgrounds. But especially if you are honing on, like, the black community, for example, we haven't really talked about them anyway. So we try to, make sure that we talk about subjects or particular topics that we've done kind of our background and talk to the right people. So that's how we go about it.
Okay, so
I heard that there's a big combat sport fight culture in Australia, and a lot of Muslims are very well at martial arts or protecting themselves.
no, that's the Aborigines, dude.
Oh my god,
No, I heard that. I heard that the
It's a fight
Australians.
culture.
Yeah.
is that true?
Like there's a big kind of UFC boxing culture here in Australia because Anthony Mundine, he is a big prominent boxer here in Australia, and he actually converted to Islam. So a lot of people, kind of the youth, especially like the Middle Eastern background and stuff, they're really into kind of UFC boxing. So there is that kind of culture in regards to, combat sports and stuff for sure. So a lot of my mates, they do a lot of, boxing and all that kind of stuff. Cause I think it's like a Muslim thing to do, especially like, I think there's even like, masjids connected to, gyms and stuff, and they all have, all that kind of facilities and stuff, and people
Well,
go
I
there.
did
Do you have
Yeah,
like boxing gyms connected to masjids?
Yeah. So LMA, they have like all that kind of gym equipment and stuff. So yeah, alhamdulillah, we have that kind of facilities here. Yeah, we're pretty pimped out here in Australia, alhamdulillah.
Hate to
Whoa,
break it to
easy
you.
with that word.
Just
buddy.
out of the West.
Easy
The
with
West
the
is
P
our
word.
Muslim areas.
Hate to break it to you, but MMA is haram. Sorry.
Hey, CrossFit's big in Australia too.
Actually, CrossFit, yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger. It's like how in the US it's blowing up right now, I think. Australia, it's sort of gaining traction as well. I'm into powerlifting though. I just don't really like CrossFit.
Yeah, the top two fittest women in the world are both Australian currently, according to the CrossFit top 1 and 2. I just watched a documentary
Yeah,
last night.
it's a big culture here. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
growing.
it's really good.
That's cool. What type of powerlifting do you do? Just general like powerlifting, like deadlifting, main core. You don't focus.
Yeah,
on
deadlifting, squats, bench press. I've done a
Nice.
competition before.
Really?
I'm in my 3rd year of lifting. Yeah.
Mashallah, man. Look at
If
this.
we're going to talk about this, yeah, I've hit decent numbers. So, deadlift, I've hit 500 pounds.
Mashallah.
Squat,
But how much do
415.
you?
How much do you weigh?
400. I knew it.
183
Ooh,
pounds.
that's not
I'm trying to make it
bad,
easy for you.
dude.
I know the conversions. I'm not going to talk in kilos.
Are you repping 500? That's the max you've hit.
That's my max for deadlifts.
Mashallah. You and me should work out together.
Sheikh Amr just got excited. He just like checked into the podcast.
Now I'm paying
Sheikh
attention to
Ahmed,
this podcast.
He's stronger than me. And if,
No,
what
I'm
does
not
Sheikh Ahmed
stronger
do?
than you, bro. I'm not stronger than you.
So like,
Okay.
What about
Like,
Tanzim?
you're into it, like-
Tanzim, are you going to be lifting soon? I saw you without your shirt.
I'm more just play cricket. Do you guys play cricket? Like
No,
India, Bangladesh all play cricket. and
we're
stuff,
all
so that's
self-hating
my kind of
Desis.
sport.
yeah, there's a big cricket culture here, but that's what a lot
Fobs
of the,
do.
Yeah, a lot of the shabab who came from overseas, they came from the old country. Oh my god, we don't use that term anymore. FYI.
Because there's a big Australian culture, like Australians in general, white people and stuff. They follow cricket a lot, so it's just normal here in Sydney, Australia and stuff.
Yeah, it hasn't really hit off because like England, South Africa, those places, those white countries, they're good at cricket. But America, they haven't picked up on it. I don't think they'll ever pick up on it. So I was running through the outline that Tanzim sent out. So you guys actually, like, you were inspired by us? Man, what an honor. We never thought. That's what it says here.
100%,
Inspired by
yeah.
TMM. Well, I kind of figured something out because I was listening to y'all's show before I knew this. I was listening to the Dr. Gaylan show, and I don't know who closed. I think Tanzim was closing the show out, and you're like signing off. I'm like, wait a second, this close sounds like my close. This guy sounds like. I was like, it's like if I had an Australian accent. These guys copied Mad Mamluks' clothes, and then like I texted Noreen, who's like Sim's wife. I'm like, yo. Like, these guys, we gotta sue them for, like, plagiarism or something. And they're like, no, chill out. We're actually, like, working with them a little bit. It's like, oh, okay.
Actually, you guys should plagiarize more of his stuff. It's gonna make me happy.
Yeah, like Muslims, like what? We just copy people, like literally, like that. We just straight. Like
everyone
when we
copies
started
everybody,
out, we're
bro.
just like, Mad Mamluks have everything down pack. I'm just gonna copy what they're doing, and just because we're youth, we'll just label as the youth. So it's just like a Control C, Control V. For us, it was really easy, starting up.
You shouldn't. That's another piece of advice
Yes.
I like to give to people, especially youth that are younger than you guys and your age. You should never feel uncomfortable about copying, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Everyone learns something from somebody else, and they copy it. Everything that we've learned, we've copied it from somebody else. Whether it's our teachers, our instructors, our shuyukh, we've copied everything, and that's what contemporary books are. They're copy and pasting ideas or even words and putting in contemporary language, right? So, I mean, don't worry about any of that. I know Maheen just seems a little intimidating. He seems a little scary, but he's actually a big teddy bear.
Do you guys remember the email we sent out to you guys? Like, this was like a year before, or maybe a few months before we started up officially. We sent an email saying what mic should we use to start up a podcast.
I think I sent that email to Maheen. Yeah, I
or
was
to
like,
Sim. The Mad Mamluks are account, right? Because Sim and I
I think I helped 15 different people try to set up their podcast, and you guys were probably the only one.
You're the only one that's made it to iTunes.
Yeah,
it's still active.
No, there were about 3 or 4 different people who started, but you guys are the only ones who actually were doing it consistently. And so I think a lot of people want to do podcasting, but they just don't love it enough to keep at it because they want to see the big numbers. They want to see a lot of followers, and that just doesn't happen, man.
No, but not only that, it's kind of intimidating because sometimes you want to do a podcast, but you don't know how to work technology properly, and you don't have any friends.
No. I mean, so I helped a lot of these people out, right? And who didn't know anything about technology and needed help, getting published on iTunes or whatever. But of the people that I helped out, Tanzim and I would say maybe 2 other podcasts started, and they ended up, those other 2 stopped recording. I think they recorded a couple episodes, and they just didn't have the fire in the belly, and you have to have that in order to keep doing this.
Well, those people, you might upset them. They might be listening to this show.
No, yeah, it's not. There's nothing. Look, life gets in the way.
Oh, we made it. You guys.
Look, there's a time every week. I was just talking to one of my friends. There's a moment almost every week or every other week where I just get overwhelmed with work and this podcast, and I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? I should be out there making money, furthering my career. Look at all the other people in my friend circle who are just doing great, making great salaries and everything, and trying to increasing their livelihood and getting ready for their mid 40s, early 50s, and making sure that they have a great savings account ready to take them into retirement, and you just realize, like, okay, you're doing it for Allah, and this is one way of hopefully attaining Jannah, right?
So, Tanzim, how big is your team? You guys have Raphael too?
Yeah, so he couldn't make it, but yeah, alhamdulillah, we have Raphael is going to be like on and off kind of co-host as well.
What ethnicity
and we've
is
got
he?
like maybe 2 or 3 people who do other stuff. But touching on what you said, Sim, you mentioned kind of vision and goal and having that fire in the belly. I'll tell you the reason why. I feel actually Jordan Peterson did actually talk on this about procrastination, and he mentioned that the reason why people go through with what they do is literally because of the vision. So what's your end goal at the end of the day? So I feel like a lot of those podcasts who started up, they didn't really have, what's the real big picture of doing this? Like, yeah, sure, there's a conversation to be had amongst the Muslim community. I'm just going to start this up. But what's your end goal? And I feel like that was something very, very clear that we set up when we started in our early days. So even you mentioned, Sim, that, you know, there's, you know, jobs and stuff. You're worried about, you know, get more, you know, money, you know, buy more cars or whatever, you know, like you have other friends doing that, and then you're kind of doing this podcast is taking a lot of your time. And I can really relate to that a lot, because, you know, my life's pretty hectic at the moment. You know, I got, you know, work, uni, I work another job as well. Doing the podcast, you know, sometimes you mentally, physically, like literally break down. It's really tasking, you know what I mean? Because you have to do it consistently. You know, a lot of the guests, you know, it's like, obviously they're busy and stuff, you know, you put the effort to try to get them on, timing and editing, and there's a lot of work behind it, right? But when you are fixated on a goal, at the end of the day, you're like, this is what we're working towards, because we know there's something that's happening in the Muslim community and it isn't being addressed. And at the same time, merging with you guys definitely helps it even more. You know what I mean?
It gives us so much more motivation just to know that you guys just recognized our efforts, as in the people who we drew inspiration from in the first case. So that really helped.
Well, and one of my goals, and I think everyone on this team has this vision that, you know, we want to have a platform that allows everyone on, you know, and every one of us, at least in this room over here in the U.S., where we were part of different groups and different movements and things like that, and we realized, like, okay, well, when our voices weren't being heard, we're like, okay, well, why wasn't it heard? What about it made you feel like you were disconnected from the rest of the ummah, right? And I think one of our visions was having this kind of neutral Switzerland type of platform where people can come on. Now, we're not truly Switzerland in the sense like we'll allow like ridiculous ideas coming on where, you know, there's just, I mean, people like Majid Nawaz and stuff like that. That's the type of silliness I'm talking about. But in terms of, you know, sensible Muslims who are, you know, in the, what's it called, the middle of the pack, the middle of the spectrum type Muslim. I think we're one of those people who just want to learn from everyone, and maybe we'll disagree with each other, but it doesn't mean that you have to hate each other at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to emulate that as well. Like, we've seen you guys do it, have people from different ends of the political spectrum on, and we have the same. We have like people who are more Salafi on the show, and people who are more intellectual and sort of like lefty leaning sort of types. Like, as in, it really doesn't matter to us as long as they contribute something meaningful.
Yeah.
To
but
our understanding.
Don't be afraid to clown on them though.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to clown on them because they have some silliness. I mean,
clown on who?
Sure,
the Sufis, the Salafis, the Hizbis, the Ikhwanis, whoever.
Oh, so anytime you get opportunities, clown on everybody.
Yeah, clown on everyone.
Hate everybody. Don't be racist. Just hate everybody equally.
Everyone needs to learn to laugh at their silliness. Okay.
Yes, hate everybody equally, guys. That's a message for our podcast. That's a wrap.
Not a hate.
I'm just
I'm saying clowning.
Yeah,
clowning.
I'm clowning you. See?
Yeah.
See how that works?
No, that's not clowning. You're just being a troll right now.
Yo, so like, tell me about the scholarship student in Australia. So when I was coming up, the big dude in Australia was remember that dude Sheikh Faiz?
Faiz?
Yeah.
Sheikh Faiz Mohammed, yeah.
Yeah. Is he in jail or something now? Well, he fell off the grid.
He's really low key now because he had a lot of fiery talks. He got in trouble with the law, probably.
He said a lot of
or the
crazy
media.
stuff. He's Lebanese dude, right?
Is he the guy with the white dopey and the beard, big beard, and he sounds really aggressive?
Yeah, I'll say it.
He's so hardcore. It was crazy.
I kind of like him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he would say stuff like, yeah, that was like a different era back then. And you know who else was dope back in the day was Sheikh Bilal Asad. He had that story about Ahmed the Repenter. Is he still around?
Yeah, Bilal Assad's in the Melbourne scene. I don't know if he's prominent now, but yeah, he's based in Melbourne. He does like talks here and there still. So, but I don't think he's as big as he was before.
No, it's Feiz. Sheikh Amr is like, how do you spell Sheikh Fayaz? It's not Fayaz. Fayaz is a very like Desi way to spell it. Faiz is like F-A-I-Z. Right. So, okay.
Oh, this guy. Okay.
You remember that dude?
Else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see.
He used to talk about, I remember this one talk, he was like, we want our children to thirst for the blood of Shahada.
Oh my God.
And he was like, from a young age, I was like, dang dog. I was like, how was you not arrested yet? You know?
You know, when we're young.
He's talking about how Harry Potter is kufr and the rugby, which is a common sport, he is like, it's the game of the devil. Like he's just so hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of wonder, like, part of me is like, it's kind of good that these guys are quiet now, but how, they end up messing up their lives, and it was kind of tragic in the sense that you wish that they learned through better means, that, some people sat down with them and gave them nasiha, and they didn't have to go through prison or through the government actually watching them with a close eye for them to actually change, I kind of was hoping that they grew or they matured, in their thought, and they got past whatever ridiculous line of thinking that they were pursuing their whole life, and they actually started questioning themselves. And that's kind of what happened to many of us over here, where maybe in our late 30s late 20s and early 30s, we kind of sat back and we realized and looked back at all the different things that we were involved in, and trying to find the rightly guided group, right? And trying to find the one sheikh who will guide us all, or the one group that will guide us all, and finding that was a futile attempt in attaining closeness to Allah. That's not how the world operates. Allah just doesn't give hidayah to one person, and that's the only person you should follow for the rest of your life. You'll learn that so many of the people that we look up to, they're just as human as you are. You'll find out about crazy scandals and things like that are happening from people that you would never expect it to happen.
So
yeah, definitely. As in, sorry, Maheen, continue.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, like, on the current Australian scene, like, who's that? So I've seen Muhammad Hablos. Is that the guy? I love his videos. I haven't seen his dars, but like, he has these really cool. He had the one that was pretty dope about like some dude who was treating his wife like trash. It was like an act. It was like an act, like a skit, kind of, right? And he's also, I recognize him from the one interview with who's the brother that just passed away, the philanthropist. He was like very wealthy. What's his name?
Ali Benat.
Yeah, that dude was amazing.
Everyone found out about him through that one channel that comes through Australia. What's their name?
One Path
Network? One Path Network, man. Those guys, they've been doing it for a long time. How many years has it been? At least 5, over 5 years, I would say.
4 or 5, I think. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, when I saw them, they actually had a real production house where they have good cameras, good lighting, people who actually are articulate and talking about things that are relevant in social media. Still not my cup of tea, but fantastic work.
Is One Path, you guys had that brother on?
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, like, we're connected with the One Path Network brothers. So we have a lot of people in the MSA scene that we know that actually work behind the scenes at One Path. But Kamal Saleh, you probably will know him from Talk Islam. So we are good mates with him. He came on our show as well. So alhamdulillah, we're connected with them. Even with the CEO of One Path, his name is Malaz. You've probably seen him in a few videos as well. A big bearded, mashallah, very pious brother. He is also, we've good friends with him as well. So yeah, alhamdulillah, we're connected in that sense amongst the Sydney community.
Kamal, I really enjoyed Kamal's show a lot. Yeah. That show was amazing. So I have listened to a good amount of your content, and like, I don't know how the guys feel, but I actually
hear this. Maheen says something's amazing. That it's got to be pretty good.
I mean,
because
Kamal's show was probably like Raphael's show was my favorite of the ones that you guys did, because I like convert. We haven't done enough convert stories. We don't do convert stories. It's not our cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean,
converts don't like it sometimes to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it gets played out for
we
them.
hear different stuff from different converts. Some converts say like it's something really personal to me, and I don't like to talk about it because I get what they mean when they say, like, when people ask them to talk about it, it's like when you talk about it, it cheapens it, you know?
Yeah.
When you have like a stir of emotions that like you can never put into words, it feels like you're cheapening that whole experience by just talking about it, because it's so much more than the words that you're expressing. Maybe you don't even have the right words to express how that whole experience was. And I kind of feel like that when talking about like some powerful experiences in my life, and I just feel like I don't want to talk about it on the podcast because it cheapens it, right? And so I'll kind of just default to something more easier to talk about. And with converts, you'll hear different things. Some are very happy to talk about it, and some not so much. But one thing you'll always find from them is that it's always a very powerful experience, at least from the ones we've met, right?
Yeah. So talk to us a little about So Dr. Muhammad Gilan is Sheikh Amar's personal favorite guest, and he's been on our show like 4 times now. And he's a good like he actually was DMing me this week about feedback from the last podcast we just released, and we bounce all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about working out, but you guys have met him in person. We haven't actually ever met Dr. Gilan.
You haven't met him in person. Yeah.
So is he a fraud? You said you saw him up close.
To ask about it, yeah.
like even the story, I'll go back a bit, but the story with how we got in contact with Muhammad Gilan and meet him in person is actually like subhanAllah, like quite an unreal story. Because what happened was, alhamdulillah, like Josh knew of Muhammad Gilan before Muhammad Gilan was Muhammad Gilan. You get me? Mm-hmm. So he was like OG follower of Muhammad Gilan.
2012 when he wrote obscure articles about evolution, he had like 200 followers.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like I started like following him. I was like, who's this intellectual dude? I need to know more about him. Because I studied like philosophy and stuff as well. I was like, he's the only guy doing this. But then he sort of blew up.
Yeah, and then what happened was even I got into his stuff like maybe 2 years ago. And then we started a podcast and we were just like, man, it would be amazing because, you know, Dr. Gilan was inspiration for myself as well, personal inspiration. And I'm like, oh, man, it would be great to have you on the podcast, this and that. And then literally that timing, he lived in Canada at that time. He's like, I'm moving to Brisbane, Australia. I'm like, subhanAllah, like, I'm like instant, like, you know, light bulbs going off in my head. Be like, I can easily get him now, right? But Queensland's a bit far. And he's going university there to study med. So I'm like, it's going to be hard to get in contact with him. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But, you know, whatever. At least he's in Australia. Somehow maybe inshallah in the future we can get hold of him. And then subhanAllah, a few months later, I have a friend. He was the MSA president of UNSW at that time. He's like, I was with him at Eid prayer in the morning. And then afterwards, he's like, hey, bro, you know we're getting Muhammad Gilan for an event at UNSW? I'm like, whoa, what? And then he's like, yeah, literally, like, he's going to come down, I want to fly him. He's going to stay for like 2-3 days. He's going to do a discussion panel with one of our lecturers at UNSW, an atheist. And then he's going to do a talk. I'm like, subhanAllah, like, then I asked him, can you tell him to come on Boys in the Cave? And then he's like, you can try. So what happened? I sent a voice recording through his text message. I'm like, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Gilan. It's Tanzim from Boys in the Cave. And we haven't even started officially then. So he's probably thinking, who is these Boys in the Cave? Why are they telling me to come on, right? But subhanAllah, he agreed to it. And then maybe a few weeks later, he came down. And then I remember I met him and stuff. And it was so surreal. I'm like, subhanAllah, how, because we're starting a project at that time, how Allah brings people to you in ways you would never think of. Yeah. How we had that intention of starting Boys in the Cave, like, inshallah, we think it's, you know, purely for the sake of Allah, you know, try to benefit the community. And we had this idea of trying to get Muhammad Gilan on the podcast, but our vision of that was like, you know, over Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
And then subhanAllah, how he just Allah brought Muhammad Gilan to us, you know what I mean?
That's
and
amazing, yeah.
Alhamdulillah, we even bonded to the point we chilled with a whole day. We're having discussions and, it was just a really surreal experience, and alhamdulillah, to this point, I would say he's a very good friend of ours. We keep in touch as well. And not only that, he left, we're in good terms. He's like, he's connected with the Mizan Avenue as well. So he came a second time as well. And then we met him again. We chilled with him up to midnight talking about, you know, Deen, Islam and stuff. So subhanAllah, it was like, it was very surreal, and it really kicked us, our podcast off.
What did you guys eat, by the way? I have to ask, what did y'all eat?
We took him to brunch. So because Sydney's great for this, yeah. We took him to this hipster cafe in one of our, like, near the city, and it was all vegetarian food, and he loved it. He was just like, this is amazing.
You know,
and as for your question, Mahin, if he's a fraud or not, he definitely isn't. Like, we chilled with him and we talked to him, and he's literally like one of the boys, as in you talk to him, it feels like you're talking to a close friend. He was talking about the gym. He was talking about music. He's talking about everything. It pretty much felt like I'd always known him.
So, Josh,
hang on one second.
You have a question?
So, it's funny when you guys are talking about your like your vision and everything, and one of our visions was also having, you know, we've talked about this in previous episodes where we kind of modeled our show a little bit after Joe Rogan and Tim Ferriss and things like that, other podcasts that were like the cream of the crop, right? And we were looking for a guy like Sam Harris, but for Muslims, right? And lo and behold, through some research, we found out this neuroscientist named Dr. Gilan exists, and we're like, holy cow, this is the key to the puzzle, the missing piece. We need someone who can actually look at some of these complex things and kind of unpackage everything for young Muslims, and is able to actually answer some of the tough questions that are facing young Muslims today. So,
it was funny because like I listened to Dr. Gilan's last podcast. He talked about being authentic and whatnot, and he says that like when you guys met him, y'all freaked out because he was wearing like distressed jeans or something.
Yeah,
and you were expecting a guy in a robe. What do y'all expect? Y'all expecting a dude in like a Moroccan robe,
like a Jedi master, a Jedi master walking through, a young Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, literally Jedi master. Subhanallah.
But I like the whole mindset, mashallah, and it's actually inspiring to us, and at least myself. And it's a reminder. You mentioned that you just wanted to have a podcast, and Allah just brought Muhammad Lilan and all of your guests to you. All of the guests are that way. It's just a little more there's a little more grandeur involved in it with Muhammad Lilan because he's such a boss, mashallah.
All right, so as we wrap things up, what kind of questions do you guys have for us?
Okay, so what questions do we have? Are we interviewing you
I
now?
kind of cut off Sheikh Amr. I'm sorry.
No,
hang on one second.
It's okay.
I thought Sheikh Amr had to run a little bit, so I wanted to kind of speed up
No, it's actually
things.
pretty funny. I kind of lauged, but
Go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh no! Now he's going to hold this against me for the rest of the week.
I was just gonna say that the original story of the Ashab al-Kahf, the sleepers of the cave, the boys in the cave. I like the little twist you guys have on it. But the boys in the cave, or the Ashab al-Kahf, they didn't know each other until later, in the original story. They all met because there was Taq Yunus, who was the king, was having a big celebration. And all of these youth, they had a sheikh who was basically on original Christianity of Isa alayhi salam, teachings of Isa alayhi salam, but he was in hiding because Taq Yunus, who was the king, was going out to get him because he was the last person inviting to the oneness of Allah. So there were a few boys that were his students, but not all of them knew each other, right? But when the celebration was happening, when Taq Yunus was having the celebration, there was a lot of, drinking, lewdness and shirk and all that stuff, and they didn't want to obviously endorse any of that. So they all went away to an area that was kind of I don't know what the distance was, but they all ended up going to that area and sitting down by a tree, from what I understand. Wallahu alam. And they all asked each other, wait, what are you guys doing here? What are you doing here? And that's how they met each other. And they basically came up with a plan. Some people have the misconception where the Ashab al-Kahf, the people of the cave, were in fear, in extreme fear, so they had to hide. But rather, it was a little bit of anxiety, obviously, but they were actually planning on what they were going to do. And then Allah caused them to sleep, right? But with them meeting each other, Allah gave them each other, you know what I'm saying? And it's just so awesome that you guys have this name and you guys have that mindset that actually manifested itself to the people, to the Ashab al-Kahf.
Yeah, it embodies that name.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And people think that just because you have a name, your personal name, we understand from the hadith that the name has a big role in your life, right? But even any name that you ascribe to yourself, whether it's a group, that's going to have a big role on your life too. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very beautiful. You guys are actually very young. The people of Ashab al-Kahf were known to be, anywhere between the ages of 13 to I think 20 or something like that, right? I don't think they were anything older than 25. And I think it's just really cool how all these things are just coming together, man. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's funny that the way we can kind of relate to that story as well is the fact that they weren't, prophets and doing miracles and all that kind of stuff. They're just like young boys.
Yep.
And Allah helped them in situations, you know what I mean? So we can relate to that as well, that we are just, trying to, inshallah, do it for the sake of Allah, and Allah will help us along the way. And, especially with your team, getting in touch with you guys and merging, alhamdulillah, even that's Allah paving the road for us to do even bigger things. You know what I mean?
Mashallah, I'm glad you have that mindset, but please don't think highly of us because
I don't mind that. What's wrong with you, man?
if you were to hang out with us for a little bit, you'd be like, oh, everything's gone pear-shaped.
Except the sheikh. The sheikh has like credibility, but the rest of they know I'm like just a deviant.
They know I'm just a deviant.
But
You guys have some questions about Bangladesh for some reason. I saw in the outline because like I'm Bengali and you have some questions about fish or something.
I got some questions. Kita khobor. Bala soni.
We just put it there. We just didn't know what we were going to say. But
okay.
No, it was the fact that we see that in the Dawah scene, there's not that many Bangladeshis, even though there's like a big population. So, like, is that your experience as well?
Yeah.
In the American scene, like here.
So I don't know how y'all feel about like being Bangladeshi. I was born there.
Here it comes.
I'm about to go on a little rant real quick.
Get ready, boys.
So I've got like a love-hate relationship with Bangladesh. I was born there. Came when I was 2. My problem is that Bangladeshis, I don't understand, like, some of them, a lot of them are super nationalistic and they over their deen. I'm like, bro, your country's not even 50 years old yet. Like, literally, Bangladesh is not 50 years old, and you put that as priority over your spiritual lineage, which is 1,400 years plus.
No, I think that's a majority, because that's a problem with nationalism.
I think so, but like, as a Bengali, I'm like, but y'all ain't done nothing. All y'all do is kill your leaders, and then you got 2 women running your country for the last 30 years.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Criticism?
I mean, the hadith about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam about like a country that is led by a female or a woman, that will have no blessings. And you go there and you wonder why it takes me like 3 hours to get from one side of Dhaka to the other.
You're gonna get some trigger on this. This is gonna be kind of entertaining.
You know what I'm saying? So like, but like, with all that being said, like, I love going to my family, extended family is all over there, like 98% of them.
In Sylhet or Dhaka?
Yeah.
Dhaka, right?
And mostly in Dhaka, Noakhali. No, I'm from Noakhali, dog. That's like the ground.
I thought you were from Chittagong.
We like the rednecks of Bangladesh.
My family. Yeah.
Sorry? You're from Noakhali too?
Food. Yeah.
Yeah,
you and Maheen are probably related.
we might be.
Yeah, probably cousins.
But it's like the country, the rednecks of Bangladesh. So I like how they talk.
Kind of like the Hyderabadis of India.
Maybe, but like it's not like I enjoy going back. I don't like Bengali food. The traffic sucks, and in the perception of religion over there is I kind of understand why they're that way though, because when I go over there is no middle ground as far as deen goes. People are either hardcore like Maulana Sabs or like complete secularists snorting crack. Like,
can you snort crack?
I mean, snort coke. Sorry, coke.
Okay. No,
I heard they actually do coke at Dhaka University.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Once I was at Dhaka and there's a masjid right in front of my grandfather's place. And I remember late at night, it was like New Year's, and you could hear like the insane partying, like the sound speakers, like literally like through the whole city you could hear it. And it's like right behind the masjid, and during Fajr, it's like still going off. I'm like, subhanAllah, like It's crazy out there, man.
Well, the colleges over here have Adderall, so we're speaking from privilege.
Yeah, so as Sim was saying, we got to get Sheikh Amr out of here. Do you guys have any questions for us before we wrap this puppy up?
We don't want to rush you, man. Just forget about my thing, man. These guys have been looking forward to this for so long. Don't worry about that, man. Honestly, we can keep going.
All right, how about do a bit different? What if you were to sit in a cave? Because boys in the cave. Each of you guys, if you were to sit in a cave with one person in history, excluding Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba, because everyone's just going to pick them anyway. So who would it be?
Or any scholar.
How about make it non-Muslim?
All right, yeah.
Yeah, to make it interesting, not Muslim.
But don't give the responses you did with the Coffee with Kareem episode, because I heard that. So
they were all Muslims too. Those are Muslim guys, right?
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah,
non-Muslim.
Someone that benefited you, or you can learn from, that sort of thing.
That's a good question.
That's a very good question, dude.
If you make it non-Muslim, it makes it interesting.
Problem is, I don't know any non-Muslims.
No, in history even.
I'm joking, dude.
Let's see here.
I'll probably here's the thing. I need more thought, but the person I've always been interested in from a very young age has been John F. Kennedy.
What?
Yeah.
You're so lame.
Just let
American
him,
president?
It's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, because when I was younger, I wanted to be like a So I was obsessed with American presidents since like kindergarten. I memorized, at the time, Ronald Reagan was president, so I memorized 40 presidents when I was like 6 years old.
I bet you, how many Sahaba did you knew back then?
I didn't know what a Sahaba was.
Guys, he just answered the questions. Let him answer
go
the
ahead.
questions.
You know,
Go ahead. Answer.
Yeah, he's talking Arabic.
and so for me, like, even Kennedy today is a fascinating character, right? The fact that he had an affair with Marilyn Monroe, and then,
Is that what makes him fascinating?
I found this out later. Like, 'cause my fascination with Kennedy goes back to like elementary school, but like later, as I've grown up, even his sense of style, like the whole Ivy League fashion, Ivy League styles,
Okay.
the JFK look, right? The family he came from, like the Kennedys are like probably one of the greatest American families that have ever existed, right? As far as like their influence on government and business, whatnot. So, like, he's always someone that's been, like, interested in me. Whether he's the right person that I'd spend time with, looking back, I'd probably need more time, but, like, he's the guy that pops out to me as somebody who, I found interested.
I like Sun Tzu from The Art of War.
Really? That's
I'd like to sit
cool
down with
answer.
him
Very
and pick his mind and help him because I know what he. A lot of people look at his book and thinking like, oh, this is all related to warfare, but what he's really actually talking about is conflict. And we as human beings are in conflict throughout our whole lives, and war is the ultimate expression of conflict. And when you really think about his book in different ways, in different dynamics relating to conflict in general, and how to come on the winning side of conflict, I'd like to sit down and have some halaqat with him and see
really cool.
see what I could learn.
Yeah, what
And
about
Sheikh Amir?
I'm going to take a different approach to this. I'm going to take somebody very contemporary, but there's a reason for it. I'm going to say the name, but let me finish, okay? I would say Michael Jordan. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
I'm so disappointed by both of you.
I'll tell you why. To do
that's
this,
very
many
cool.
people you could pick in history. I'm talking about
Go ahead.
because he is the gold standard of competition, of competitiveness, and achievement and hard work, right? And he is so his mind is so wired for competition that he'll even challenge. I don't know how true this is. I was laughing when I heard some of his fellow teammates say that if you drink water fast, he'll challenge you to drink water faster than you. Like, everything in his world is about, like, he sees the world in a completely different lens than every other human being. For him, everything's a competition.
He's a Kharajite.
Probably. He's not even a Muslim. Okay. But, but the thing is that his level of competition, level of hard work and putting the hours in is unparalleled, So I think I would just like to be around somebody and know how they tick and pick their brain and, see if there's any overlapping things in my personality. Am I just being lazy? Am I even capable of doing that? Is it just a mental issue that he has? I think that'd be pretty interesting.
MJ's probably my top 5.
Yeah. I mean, historically, there's so many people I can think of, but I'm thinking just contemporary.
All right, what else y'all got?
Bring the big gun, son.
What about what was your experiences like with Islam, like when you were young? Because around our age, I'll say.
You guys 21 and 23, you said?
Yeah.
You were in Mauritania, right?
I was overseas for that one. Learning Arabic. I was learning Arabic.
MashaAllah.
That was my goal.
Sheikh Amir was the best of us. He was doing the right thing. Yeah.
Not really. Kind of a
away
loser.
from
I
all
just
the
went on
fitting,
vacation. That's all it was. I just needed an Islamic reason to go on vacation.
But you were what year did you go overseas for the first time?
It was
2001.
2001.
So you
end
did
of 2001.
You did COD, right? First.
Yeah, I was end of 2001. Well, I was actually 20 at the time.
So COD, by the way, is like community college here. It's like a 2-year
College of
Sheikh
Desi.
Amir was just leaving, and he was stuck in France, and then 9/11 happened.
Yeah,
He was on a
really?
connecting flight in France.
That would have been.
I left on 9/9, I think, from here.
Man, that was a long journey.
Yeah.
How many connecting flights did you have?
I was there for 3 days. I was in France for 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Oh, everything was grounded.
No, not at the time. Well, after we got there, we went to sleep and we woke up because we got there on 9/10. We went to sleep and we woke up and there was all this stuff on the news like America under fire, and we're like, what's going on? Me and my friends were like, what's going on? This is crazy. And we go on the street and all these people are handing out, it's nighttime, and we met some Bengali bruvs in France, and they were passing out newspapers about America, and they were talking to us in Urdu because my friend was wearing a Chicago sweatshirt. And they were like, are you guys from Chicago? Are you from America? Did you hear this happening? And we're like, oh, this is too much. We just went on a journey for the first time in our lives to go study, and this is what happens.
And you went to Mauritania after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't talk about my years in 21.
You were married, though.
You weren't COD,
I was married,
bro.
but
you weren't COD,
I had
bro.
kind of some messed
Don't
up
try to
ideas.
make it all scary and scandalous.
I have to take the fifth.
He was at COD with me. He was a student computer information systems, and that's all she wrote.
When I was 21, I was involved in Amway.
Were you really?
Yeah.
I thought you were joking about that.
No, I'm dead serious. I was in Amway. It was called Quickstar back then. They had to rebrand. I was in it for like 2.5 years.
I thought this was a joke the whole time.
You think so? Really?
Yeah.
Are you
I didn't think you were serious.
No, dude. Like a lot. Like Amway fortified like my republicanism and my like love for the American.
That's why he loves Trump.
Narrative. You know, free. You know. So as far as how I got into the dean. But you were into the dean as a teenager, though, right?
No, I got into the dean when I was in college. That's
what about Bosnia and all this BS you always talk about?
Oh my god,
Bosnia's a BS?
No, is that also a made up story?
No, why would I make that up?
That was in the mid '90s, and you would have been a teenager then.
No, that was when I was 12.
You talk about the '90s.
I think you got your dates mixed up. You don't know when the Bosnian War happened. That was when I was 12, dog.
The Bosnian War never happened. It was fake news.
Fake news? Billah.
We're gonna have to edit that part. We're gonna have to edit that part.
So,
but anyways, no, like, but you say all the stuff.
No. So that happened like earlier on in my childhood, right? So around when I was 10 to 12. Maybe 13, and then I kind of went off into other endeavors in life that teenagers of Jahili backgrounds
specialize in.
You actually had an Australian accent for a second.
Okay.
Next, you guys.
You're 20. So how do you get into the dean then?
So there was a brother named Muhammad Shirazi who I met at the college. He's a very strong-willed brother. He said, "Hey, what the hell is your problem? Why are you dressed like that?" Smacked me around a couple times.
Tell him why you said that. What were you wearing?
What were you wearing?
I was wearing a leather jacket with chains and
black leather jacket with black
you have spikes around your neck.
No spikes.
No, you had a wristband with
Tupac
spikes, right?
Shakur.
No, it's not Tupac look.
No, we're talking about heavy metal and the metal world.
Yeah, Sim, I remember you mentioned in earlier podcasts you're really into heavy metal music, and that was like pretty crazy for me. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
This dude was like
deviant. No, I'm kidding.
No.
No, I'm still a deviant. But let's just say the brother corrected me, and he said, "You know what? Why are you disinterested in the deen?" He said, "These Muslims are unworthy of any affection, and they have no honor for protecting their religion and their women and their children and their property." And he said, "No, that's not true. There is a concept in Islam about Islamic governance," and he gave me this whole spiel about that, and that started off my chapter into Islamic movements, and I kind of got into a lot of different Islamic movements from there on, and then that's all she wrote. And then I went off into learning other facets of the religion after I left that, and then that's about it. That's me.
So, Sim, you became more practicing in your early 20s as well then?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, cool. It's sort of like us, but we're sort of just wavering still, but still trying to get on
Yeah, I
track.
want to hear a little bit more about your Jahiliyyah.
I think you guys, I think you guys are more advanced than where I was at your age, especially Tanzim. At 21, I was in Amway. I didn't read I read the Quran for the first time in English when I was 19 years old. I just did, when I was a kid, I read it in Arabic just to get the party.
All right.
Just to get the party. Just to get the party. He's talking about the Amin or the Bismillah thing. Right?
The Amin party. Bengalis, we don't do Bismillah party is the lamest party around.
Yeah.
Like, that's like a trophy generation
It's mainly
thing.
for those two huge lardus. That's what it's for.
You know, like Bismillah party, it's like you get credit for starting something. How lame is that? At least Amin party, you actually finish it. Like,
it is encouragement.
You know, you have to do something. So I did my Amin, what do you call the Amin party at like 10? Bengalis don't call it that. My parents didn't call it that. I just finished reading when I was like 10 or 11. I remember I was knocking out like an hour of Quran a day, drinking milk at like age 11 to get that party. And then when I got into the dean, so what happened was I used to, when I was like 19 years old, I had a crush on this one random hijabi chick, and it was really unusual because I wasn't religious at all, right? But this girl was cute, so and it was unusual because I was normally into like Katharat. Right, that was my my taste buds were for Katharat, not like
Katharat is a female.
Katharat. So
My taste.
all of a sudden,
Katharat.
so anyways, this it got me. It didn't really. So I was like, this girl's like religious. She wears hijab and stuff. Like, this is weird. Like, why do I like this girl? And then I had same time I had a falling out with a friend. You know, and then all of a sudden I had the Maulana Maududi translation of the Quran.
MashaAllah, Rahimullah. Tell us more about Sheikh Maududi.
Yeah, so he's the one. So I had the version where it had the Arabic on one side and the English on one side.
Yeah.
So the Arabic is the one I did my khatam on when I was a kid. So it kind of grew up with me.
Yeah.
And then like I took that with me when I went to college, in Canada at the time. And I remember one night I was like angry at my friend that I had the falling out with. And all of a sudden, I was bored. There's nothing going on that night. I didn't want to do homework. I just pulled it off the shelf, started reading, and I was like flipping through it, and I was like, man, this is some good stuff right here. This Quran is kind of dope. So like, I just started reading like an hour a night, and I finished the entire translation in like a month.
Of the whole Quran?
Nice.
Well, Maheen, I didn't know this about you.
So then,
this is actually a very entertaining story, but now it takes a serious.
So then, like midway, I remember twist. Like. Midway through, I was like learning about forgiveness and this and that. So I just forgave my friend. And there were all my friends back home in Ohio were like, what is up with you? Because I used to be the dude that used to drop like an F-bomb every 2 words. You know, and it was just like, I was out there. And so they were like, all of a sudden I went back to Ohio that summer and I was like acting different. And then around the same time I got involved in Amway and they were like super like evangelical Christian. But I like their conservatism. So like and so I started picking up a lot of the Christian values, their habits, and incorporating into myself. I didn't really have any like, I wasn't tied in with the MSA. I went to University of Toronto. They had a strong, in hindsight's 2020, cause like they actually had a strong MSA, but I wasn't tied in with them. And then I eventually got back into Ohio. I didn't know anything about like Hadith or Sunnah. Yeah. And then I met some like brothers. I remember in 2004, I was in Columbus for a wedding. I had moved back by then, and there were some brothers from Madrasa in Toronto who were attending the wedding. Actually, one of them is Sheikh Hamza Meter, who's like well known. He comes to Chicago now. At the time, he was just a madrasa student in the like Alim program. And I just saw these cool dudes wearing turbans. They were too young to even have beards yet. They were just the strings were growing out of their face.
Aww, that's cute.
And then like I asked them a little bit, and then I meet these brothers, and I got involved in like Al Maghrib, and then like 6 months later I was Madkhali.
Yeah, you turned your back on Sheikh Maududi and you went to the Madkhali phase.
Yeah. And that's pretty much that's kind of like my trend. But when I was 21, I was actually doing Amway. At the time, I was conscious of Deen, but I didn't know anything. I'd read the Quran at that point. I didn't know anything about Hadith. I was kind of like, I read the Quran, but I was like, what else? What do I do next?
Yeah.
Right?
Mashallah, that's pretty impressive.
Did you ever debate, like, did you ever have any conflicts with atheistic beliefs or ideas when you were young? Or
not really, because I had an atheistic, I had a friend in college, a Sri Lankan dude, at University of Toronto, who was atheist.
Yeah.
But his reasoning for being an atheist, it wasn't like an intellectual one. He's like, oh, show me God. And it was like really simplistic. Show him to me. If he's there, bring him. And it was more like, I want to be atheist because I don't want any rules. I want to smash as many chicks as I want, and I don't want any repercussions. So therefore, that's why I'm an atheist.
Right. And
it wasn't like a deep atheistic argument. I didn't know, anything about like, you know, I was a crazy guy in Canada too, because the first time I met a gay person in Toronto, he lived in my dorm. So every time he was around, I made sure I said "get" really loud. And
oh man,
and you know, just to like see what he would do, and he did nothing.
Oh man, you're evil. Astaghfirullah. Wow. You shouldn't be oppressing
guys.
people like that.
Our battery's about to die.
Oh
no!
Bloody hellfire!
Yeah, because usually we last the entire podcast with it, but for some reason it's just run dry.
I last pretty long usually too.
Oh my god. Did it just die?
All right, well there you have it. That was Boys in the Cave, and we acquired them, right?
Yeah. That's
a wrap.
That's a wrap. Well,
they're saying it with their smirks. There's no acquiring. We've joined hands.
They got some good content though.
Young blood coming in. The Sheikh Amr will be joining them on their show, and we'll be doing some, collaboration here and there. Hopefully, they can put us in touch with any Australian luminaries. And I learned that term from some other luminaries.
All right.
There he goes. That's them. They hung up.
They're trying to get back, but it's all good. We'll communicate them on WhatsApp, and we will.
Oh, there we go. We'll just say salam alaikum to them.
All right, we'll look at them.
Hey, and we're back.
Assalamu alaikum, bruvs.
We're back.
Did you float? Did you find the flotation devices, bruvs?
Guys, I've just got my final 5% left. Do you want us to switch to Tanzim's laptop so
no,
we can just finish it off?
We actually just wrapped it up. We actually just gave the wrap up.
Well, we'll just wrap it up formally.
Do you want us to say, we'll just say like that. Now I just feel scripted, but yeah, it was really nice to hear all your stories. And next time, inshallah, you guys can hear ours because there's a lot more to it, like a lot more juice in our stories.
Of course.
Quick question for you two. Do you guys actually like Bengali food? Because I can't stand it.
Bro, it's pretty similar to the rest of the Desi food. It's like curry and rice. I really like it. I really like Ilish much.
No, I actually like Pakistani food, personally.
Bro, what the hell?
He's like, he just got mad.
What a trade-off, bro.
Actually, if you think about it, Bangladesh was a Kharajite nation because they rebelled against the Islamic ruler.
Of course.
Bro, did he?
Bro, Josh will smash you on that point, bro. He's well versed.
Is it?
On like the history and stuff. Yeah, you gotta make him angry, ass.
No, it's fine.
Good thing we're running out of charge.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, thank you so much for having us today, guys. It was really nice.
No, man, thank you
just
for
being able to hear from your end.
Yeah,
everything.
Man, thank you so much for those words, man. It helped me realize responsibility. If we are your inspiration. I really
y'all got problems.
I really have to straighten my act up, to be honest with you. So it's a reminder, man. Jazakallah khairan for talking.
Yeah, and Sheikh Hamid, what you just said about the naming and everything, like for you guys, the Mad Mamluks makes so much sense because you guys are mad definitely about certain things, and for us as well, boys in the cave, just sort of brothers, sort of trying to find sort of like a safe space from like all these issues in society and discuss them, that sort of thing. So it definitely rings true.
Yeah, man.
And I was just saying that just by the way, my uncle actually was a freedom fighter. So my chacha.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Chacha, my dad's youngest brother was a freedom fighter, so he'd probably castrate me if I explain. First of all, I'd explain him what a Kharajite was.
Sasafut.
Kaka. Actually, they call me Kaka. Kaka bhalo ashish.
Kaka bhalo ashish. James Belushi.
All right. Well, on that note, we appreciate Tanzim and Josh from Boys in the Cave for coming on the show today. We woke them up. It's early over there. I interrupted their salat, said they were doing Salat al-Duha, and we made them get on the podcast.
That's exactly how it happened. We had to cut our salah short. We were going to do a massive surah, but we're just like, no.
All right. So for our listeners out there, if you have questions or comments, you can email us at themadmamluks@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Leave a 5-star review. You probably have noticed that Instagram posting has accelerated, so follow us there. We're actually posting stuff, and we actually put out a Facebook Live. I guess I don't know when the show's going to release, but we'll be putting more of that stuff out there. So engage with us there. We're trying to get more content to you in different avenues, and we'll be at ISNA. I don't know if this show will come out before ISNA, but we'll be at ISNA in Houston if y'all are there. All right. So Jazakallah khair, and Sheikh Amr, on behalf of Sheikh Amr, Saeed, and Sim, this is Mahin signing off. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.